The fastest way to lose a reader in Chapter 1 usually isn't a weak plot. It's 3 paragraphs explaining how your magic system works before anything has actually happened to anyone. World building is often the place new novelists overinvest because it feels productive and endlessly expandable. In this episode, how much world building you genuinely need before you start drafting, the rule that keeps exposition from stalling your story dead in its tracks, and how to make a setting feel fully real using a fraction of the detail you probably think you need. This is episode 4. You don't need your world's entire history mapped out before you start writing. You need enough to keep it internally consistent from scene to scene. Nail down the handful of rules that actually constrain your characters, how power works in this world, who holds it, what it costs to use it, and what happens when those rules get broken. That's usually enough to draft an entire first act from. The rest, the deeper history, the minor customs, the geography nobody visits, can be built later, exactly when the story actually needs it. The strongest world building shows up as friction, not explanation, a character breaking a rule and facing a real consequence for it, rather than a paragraph carefully describing the rule in advance. If a piece of world information doesn't affect what a character can actually do in this specific scene, it usually belongs later in the book, or possibly not in the book at all. Readers absorb rules far faster through consequence than they ever do through description, being told a rule exists before it matters to anyone. Instead of opening with "in this kingdom," magic users are forbidden from practicing openly, punishable by exile. Open with a character casting a small, necessary spell in an alley, glancing over her shoulder first. A guard notices, she runs. In under a paragraph, the reader now knows magic exists. It's illegal, it's dangerous to get caught, and this character does it anyway when she has to. That's the entire rule, delivered through action instead of exposition, and it's more memorable precisely because the reader worked it out themselves. Every genre carries an unspoken contract with its readers. Fantasy readers expect a magic system with real, consistent limits, not a get-out-of-trouble button the plot reaches for whenever it's convenient. Thriller readers expect a plausible, well-researched threat, not a villain who's dangerous purely because the plot needs one. Understanding your genre's unspoken rules tells you which details readers will actively demand early on, and which ones they'll happily let you reveal slowly, scene by scene, over the whole book. Cap any single piece of setting explanation at roughly 2 sentences before returning to action or dialogue. If a reader can't remember why a detail mattered by the time they reach the next paragraph, it was probably delivered in the wrong place or at the wrong time. Spread your world building thinly across many scenes instead of front-loading it into a handful of dense ones. Your setting will end up feeling more real, not less, precisely because it's been rationed rather than dumped. Build a skeleton of rules, not a full encyclopedia. Deliver world information through friction and consequence, not flat explanation. Know your genre's unspoken contract with its readers. And cap any explanation at 2 sentences before returning to the actual story. Premise, structure, character, and world, you now genuinely have everything you need to start drafting for real. Episode 5 tackles the part most writers dread the most, actually getting a complete first draft down on the page, mess and all. Subscribe and I'll see you there.